So it's finally here. After months and months of anticipation, Tottenham play Man United in the Europa League final. This is one of the most unique European finals that we will ever hear about because this will never happen in history again. Take the Premier League, take one of the worst seasons in the Premier League, and you have 16th place in that Premier League competing against 17th place in that Premier League for a European trophy to take you to the Champions League. The stakes have never been higher because if you think about Tottenham Hotspur and how they play, you look at Man United and how they play. Two contrasting styles, but you know what? Same results. Spurs, who are finishing lower than United, losing more than United. United, who just can't score goals. And suddenly, you still see that they're having the same problems. That they have a manager that half of the fan base is for, half of the fan base is against. And you have players that aren't good enough because you know what? They just don't understand the mentality of the game and they don't understand the size of the club. There are many parallels, but at the same time, there is one factor which I think is going to influence this game heavily. You know what this is? Football heritage. One club who has been very good in the Europa League, by the way. There's one club who hasn't won a trophy in 16 years. There's one club who has just reached their fourth final in 3 seasons. Who wins a trophy now for the past 2 seasons and could win a third trophy in 3 years. 3 trophies in 3 years. But let's look at one trend. Newcastle United hadn't won a trophy for 70 years. And this season they won the Carabao Cup. Crystal Palace have never won a trophy in their history. And they've just won a trophy. The FA Cup just the other day. Bologna had never won a trophy in the last 51 years. And they just went and beat Milan in a final to win. Just looking at these teams, there's another one team, right, that has not won a trophy in a long time, that every club, that every fan in the world always criticizes, always banters. Tottenham Hotspur. Everybody says they can never make it over the line. The butt of the joke was always Harry Kane because you know what? Harry Kane was a talisman and then he never won a trophy. And there's always a thing of when a player leaves Tottenham Hotspur, they always win a trophy, but nobody ever wins a trophy at Tottenham Hotspur. Now, think of the worst season that you could possibly have, where you've been beaten, shattered, yet you're in a European final. That's the case with Tottenham. That's the case with United. In the last, let's say, 15, 20 years, neither team has been this bad ever. Like, this was not conceivable even 6, 7 years ago. If you took the team 7, 8 years ago, for Tottenham Hotspur and for United, in 2019, Tottenham reached the Champions League final. And they just finished 4th. After 2 second place finishes in a row. United, on the other hand, had just finished 2nd to Manchester City. The Centurions team reached an FA Cup final. Jose Mourinho with Pogba, with Lukaku. The team was going places. So was Tottenham Hotspur. If you had told both sets of fans that in 2025 you're going to be playing in the Europa League final, but both of you would have finished 16th and 17th and you'd be dog awful to watch, nobody would have believed you. But you know what? Here we are. Like I said at the beginning, this will never happen in the history of the game ever again. But we have to now look at where the two teams are. We have one set of team who is just good offensively. That has Son, that has Matthias Tell, that has Dominic Solanke. But they're missing 3 key players. They're missing Bergvall, they're missing Kulusevski, they're missing James Maddison. 3 creative outlets that have been their stars throughout the season and none of them are playing. So they're essentially relying on Richarlison, Son, Tell, Dominic Solanke. And then they got their midfield as well. On the other hand, you have United who also have their own injury problems. They might not have Matthias de Ligt. They might not have Joshua Zirkzee. And they don't have Anthony, they don't have Rashford because they are out on loan. And essentially, this team is also fragmented here and there. But you know what's the decisive factor? Let's compare positions. How many players in this Tottenham Hotspur squad have ever had an experience or even a taste of a trophy win? We're really looking at only Romero. But let's take it to United now. We have Lisandro Martinez, who's injured, who has won a World Cup along with Romero. We have Casemiro, who's won 5 Champions Leagues and a couple of La Ligas with Real Madrid at the highest level, at the most pressure situation in the world. Casemiro, by the way. We have Bruno Fernandes, who's won a couple of leagues with Sporting, and he's won trophies here at United as the captain. So you could say he knows what it takes to win a trophy. And most of these players have won 2 trophies at United. But apart from that, we still have young talents in Mino, Euro, and Ahmad who are just well beyond their years, and they know even if they haven't won trophies per se, we know they have what it takes because they're just mature and they play to the level of an experienced defender slash midfielder slash wingback. So if you just look at the lineups on these two teams, you would say United are favourites. But if I was to take emotion out of it, right? If we were to look at each player individually, we're going to look at moments, right? What is the club all about? And this is where I think United or Tottenham might actually nick it. And this is one big thing where I would say one team is going to nick it over the other. Tottenham, always known as lads, it's Tottenham. Nobody takes them seriously. Nobody really gives them the sort of day. While United, in their worst of worst moments, think about last year's cup final. We lost the year before and we gave City the treble. But you run it back and we're back in a cup final, FA Cup final against Manchester City. One of the big moments of the season. We have to win, otherwise we're not in Europe. So this is the pressure situation. And within almost half an hour, or just after half an hour, we are 2-0 up in a cup final against Manchester City. And who scores? Garnacho scores and Kobe Mainoo scores. One of the most relaxed goals you'll ever see in a cup final, by the way. If you look at the players and when they turn up, Spurs might be scoring goals in the league. They are a league team who can attack. You give them a bit more of a solid defense, or you give them a manager who doesn't push such a high line, and suddenly you might see Spurs climb the table. But do you still think that's enough to win a trophy? Because you think about Son. He scores goals, right? He scores plenty goals, and at one point he was one of the most lethal finishers in the Premier League. But if you were to really take Son in the most crucial situations, he doesn't perform. He does not come through. And like I said, they're already missing Kulusevski, Madison, and Bergwall, who you would say are big characters. But where's the defensive discipline to say that, you know what, Tottenham might win it? Because you need a balance of everything, whether good or bad or lucky. You need a balance of something to win a trophy. Tottenham don't seem to have that balance. Yeah, they might have had the luck, but where's Tottenham luck when it comes to comparison with United luck? United luck and Real Madrid luck are on the same level. People call it luck, but it's just football heritage, guys. Some teams just have that aura about them. They have that something that goes in their favor. In our case, it's always Fergie time. You think about the run that we've gone through, all the way from Sociedad when we were down and we were 1-0 down. You would say, you know what, normally we would crumble under pressure. That's what results from the past would tell you. But no, we come and win 4-1. We go 2-2 in the first leg against Lyon, and then we know what happens, right? Mino shows composure, Casemiro shows composure. We're 2-4 down at Old Trafford. And then suddenly, in about 7 minutes, we're 5-4 up. This doesn't happen. This normally just doesn't happen. Did we deserve it that day? No, we didn't, because we were 2-0 up, we deserved it. But after that, we bottled it. And when we bottled it, we didn't deserve anything from that game. But you know what? We still came back. You look at the 99 final. We didn't play good at all that entire game, did we? But then finally, 2 goals in added time to win us the treble. This is what you call stuff of dreams. And we have this not just under Sir Alex. It wasn't just under Mourinho, under Ole. Under every manager, under Ruben Amorim, under Ten Hag last season, we always have these moments. You look at Liverpool, Old Trafford, right? We're losing 2-1, and then suddenly Anthony scores 2-2. Then we take it to extra time, 3-2. And then we'd make it 3-3. And then in the 120th minute, Ahmad goes and scores the winner. And finally, we're through to the semi-final. The same things, guys, always happen. Certain clubs just keep winning. Certain clubs just don't win. It's like, why are most fans always confident? You know what? Arsenal are always going to bottle it. They can be playing the best of football, but they never just crack it. You know why? Because that's in their history. Because past performances tell you that when it comes to the crucial moments, sure, they might crack it once or twice. But then if you give them 30 attempts, they might crack it once or twice. More often than not, they're going to mess up. Because even a broken clock can be right twice. And all I'm saying is, we have that culture. United's culture is so strong and Tottenham's is so weak. But at the same time, this could be exactly where it breaks, right? We're not going to say that Tottenham have no chance of winning, because if you're to take it tactically, if you were to take it based off, even though we are still above Spurs, if you were to base it off league performance, everybody's going to tell you Spurs should win this game. Because why? They just have offensive talent. And even if we can manage two or three goals, scam 2 or 3 goals, they know that with their offense and with our defense and our keeper, that they could probably score 4 or 5. This is under a normal setting. This is exactly what happened in the Carabao Cup. We scored 3, they scored 4. And in the league, they scored 3 and they scored 1. They beat us 3 times. You would always back Spurs to win this game. But you know what? When it comes to European games, when it comes to how we reach the final, just look at the way that we reached the final. We had to play Fenerbahce away. We had to play Porto away. We had to go to Czech Republic. We had to go to Romania. And then we had to go to Sociedad. We had to go to Lyon. We had to go to Athletic Bilbao, all the way to get back into Bilbao. This shows you that some of the teams that we played, right? And don't forget Rangers as well. These are some decent European teams who you would always say, you know what, they have a chance of doing something, especially in Europa League. You'd say all the teams that I mentioned at least could get to a quarterfinal. Why? Because they have European heritage, or maybe they have Champions League heritage of some sort. And so you would say they can do something. And we, despite all this, out of all the teams in the Champions League, out of all the teams in the Europa League, out of all the teams in the Conference League, guess who's the one team who's still unbeaten till now? It's United. And if you were to take Spurs at the same time, Spurs have only lost 1 game. And that was to Galatasaray. Apart from that Galatasaray game, they have not lost a single game in Europe. So combined, 16th and 17th place in the Premier League have only lost 1 game in Europe all season. Make that make sense. But this shows you what kind of a game it's going to be. People are already saying it's going to be the worst final in the history of European football. I would actually say it's going to be the opposite. It might be one of the best finals. Why I say this is because you're mixing up United and Tottenham's Premier League performances with European performances. Because this is going to be a European game. Because you might say it's 2 Premier League sides playing, but when it comes to a final, when it comes to a trophy on the line, both teams are going to play very differently. If Spurs play offensively, like they think they normally do, and how they beat us the 3 times, if they do the same thing, they're going to regret it so heavily, because you know what? We're just going to sit back and with Ahmad, with Garnacho, whoever it may be, we're going to attack and we're going to exploit them, because in Europe we play differently. We're going to play more conservatively, more packed in midfield. And we have players who are fit as well. And we have players who in Europe are going to be confident, because you know what? That Lyon remontada, and then what happened in Bilbao where we just smashed them on their own place and at our home as well. This shows you that, you know, there's a lot that we can give. And the players already know that. They already have forgotten about the Premier League. Nobody cared about the Chelsea game. The players didn't and the fans didn't. And you could see it really. Nobody really cared. We lost. So what? With Spurs, you could say their players don't care. But at the same time, I don't see the history or the backing, the heritage to tell me that, you know what, they're going to actually show up. Because I can show you examples of moments where it really mattered, where Maino has showed up for our team, where Ahmad has showed up, where Casemiro has showed up for our team and for Real Madrid. Euro has showed up. Matthias de Ligt for different teams has showed up. You can say there are characters, and Bruno Fernandes as well. These are characters that will pop up in the right moments. But can I say the same thing about Spurs? All I can say is Romero in the World Cup final has showed up. Apart from that, I'm struggling to say any player who has really proved it. So you're really looking at Dominic Solanke can score goals. Sure, he can. But can he score against a European style setup United? Not the Premier League setup United. And trust me, it's going to be a different game at San Màmes than it has been at Old Trafford, than it has been at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when we've played there. They could have beaten us 3 times, but can they beat us when it really matters? We have seen this so many times where clubs always beat us in the league. They beat us in maybe a small cup. But when it comes to a big game, when it comes to the games that really matter, in a semi-final, in a final, United always get the last laugh. So it's on to Spurs to really show me, can they do something? Though tactically, they should win. Though Ange might just try to suffocate us. Because you know what? Looking at this game tactically, Spurs should win this by a landslide. Because they're going to just press us in. And we always struggle. Especially if we're going to play Casemiro and Ugarte in midfield. Ugarte is going to lose the ball. We know that. But under pressure, this guy struggles. And once we lose the midfield battle, then the defenders are exposed. And then once the defenders are exposed, Solanke and everybody should be having a field day. But this is why the team that we play is so important. We can't keep starting Rasmus Højlund up front, who's just useless. Instead, we should be probably playing Mount and Mino in some way or the other, with Ahmad as a winger and Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in midfield. Because this is the only way that we stand a chance to beat Tottenham Hotspur. And then we rely on heritage, we rely on luck, we rely on that European flair that has got us to this stage. And you may call this controversial, but even if Lenny Yoro, even if Matthias de Ligt are 70% fit, for this game, I would say you play them. Simply because this is not a game we'll have second chances with. Because this game, the importance, I cannot stress it enough. If we don't win this game, I don't even want to imagine what happens for the financial situation, for the players that we're trying to sign, the luck, the Champions League football that we have, the name. We're going to be put back 3-4 seasons if we don't win this. This shows you how important this game is. We have to win this at any cost. So having put all these arguments up, both coaches are heading for the sack. You know what? Half of the squad, half of the fans believe that these managers are good enough or aren't good enough. There's a split. Ange is probably leaving. Ruben Amorim, if he loses the final, you know what? Who's to say that he might not be sacked? At the end of the day, I think just based off one thing, that is football heritage, I think is going to end Tottenham 1, United 1 after full time. And then in extra time, we're going to take it 2-1. All I want, at any cost, it should never go to penalties. Because I already lived one Europa League final where we took it to penalties, but then what happened, we all know. 2021 Europa League final. Everybody might say that was a big loss. If you think that was bad, we do not want to lose to Spurs. Because we do not want to be the team to give Spurs their first trophy in 16 years. But most importantly, we do not want to miss out on Champions League this year. Because if we miss out this time, we're being put back 3-4 years. And it will take that long to come back, regardless of how bad the Premier League is. So all I want is, you know what? Taking it to extra time is already a stretch. I hope really that we can just win it in full time. Maybe we win it comfortably, 2-3-0, and we don't have to worry a single second. That's what I'd love ideally. But I think, you know what, like we always have this season, we're going to make it difficult. Tottenham lead, we come back 1-1, and then in extra time, we're going to score 2-1, and we take the win. If we take it to penalties, though, I will not be able to handle it. If we lose on penalties again, I don't even know what I'll expect. Like, this summer will be very, very... I can't even get my words up because how bad the situation could be, I can't even imagine. But all I know is it's not going to be a good look. So all I'm going to say is Tottenham 1, United 2 after full time. So, guys, again, I can't re-emphasize how important this game is. This is the biggest game of the last 10 years for United. All I hope is that we win. Glory, glory, Man United. All the luck to the United team. And I'll see you all after the final. bless you all.